with you this afternoon. My name is Geraldine Duval. I'm an organizational specialist at MSEA, and my primary role is to support you guys as educators, as well as educational support personnel in your role in helping kids progress. And we do that by providing professional development for you. Also, I am really involved in looking at educational policies and regulations that affect you and your everyday work. I'd like my colleagues to introduce herself. Beth?
Sorry, I'm also running a phone bank in one of our locals, so just getting some text messages. My name is Beth, and I work with Geraldine at the Maryland State Education Association. And my role really focuses around working to develop programs to engage members. I'm really focused on the early end of our membership and career continuum, so aspiring educators who are still in college and some early career educators, as well as developing statewide leadership trainings like our summer leadership conference. So a little bit different than Geraldine, but super happy to be here supporting this awesome work.
Thank you, Beth. And so we see that there's a majority of you guys are very comfortable with Zoom. So if you haven't done so already, we're going to ask you to mute your microphone. And what you can do is toggle on the bottom of your screen and you'll see a microphone. If you click on it, you'll see a red slash and that allows you to mute it. We ask that you, again, use your video to stay on, but it is optional. We will ask you to really consider putting it when we do the breakout rooms so that those conversations could be a little bit more community-like. In the chat box, which you used earlier, we are delighted to see all the entries. I see why we are here today. We are all educators, and a majority of you guys, what made you hopeful was connecting with your students and their families. Our work is very important, and so we hope that this webinar will help you pursue that. As we mentioned, this webinar will be recorded so that we can offer this as a resource to members who are unable to attend. There are 3 learning goals that we will cover today. The first is identifying some learning management systems and tools necessary for creating that positive learning environment. Then we're also going to give you some resources that you can use offline. We're going to discuss solutions to address challenges that we will talk about and give you some tips and tricks that you can use to support your online learning and teaching. The main component of today will be an opportunity for you to network with other colleagues so we can build a strategy bank. We hope that this will not just be a one-time piece. We will ask you to join us later on to continue that strategy bank. We will send that information after the webinar is completed. To accomplish our 3 goals, we have this agenda put forward. We've completed the welcome and introductions. After the agenda, I will continue with the learning management systems and tools. I'll lead on with identifying some challenges that we've heard from our members. We'll move on to the breakout rooms to identify solutions and strategies to these challenges. And then we turn back to a whole group share out. We'll continue with tips and tricks to support your work that we found that have been useful to members around the state, and then do a wrap up. Before we begin, MSEA really thought hard about how to support you. As you can see from the survey, we are all at different places. Some people have just started connecting with their students in face-to-face, and some have been doing it for over a month now. So we hope the tools that we give you can guide you, and we hope that, again, you can be a resource to us and help continue that toolkit. Technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers, for sure, that can be transformational. And you guys are great teachers by taking the time to come and get additional information. Learning management systems and tools. What are they? So when you look at the right-hand side of the screen, you will see some video conferencing tools. Give you a few minutes to look at that. So some of the ones that you mentioned most comfort with were Zoom and Google Meet. I think most larger of the districts are using Zoom and Google Meet as their video conferencing tool. So that is the tool that you're using to do more that face-to-face connection with your students. In addition, on the left-hand side, we have learning management systems, Google Classroom, Canvas, and Blackboard. And these are the systems that have been put in place for you to, again, work with students in terms of putting courses, development of programs, delivery of instruction and content so that students can access later on. So these two tools are the learning management system and these video tools, as well as other tools that we'll explore later, are ways that you're connecting with your students and helping them progress. So what we wanted to do is offer you a resource bank. What you will see is a little description about the three different platforms that you see, the ones most commonly used, and a resource link. Again, at the end of this webinar, early next week, you will receive this handout and you will be able to access all these links. These links will give you either a tutorial or you will see a demo of the usage so you can support your work. The tools, again, video conferences, which we mentioned, is Zoom, Flipgrid, Google Meet. But we wanted to make sure that you also utilize things that have also been used in your traditional setting. We tend to forget to use things that are commonly important. Emails and phone calls will also be a viable tool for you during this time, as well as an IP vote. If you were able to bring that with you, that's a good way for you to put content in front of students and make things more interactive and real life for them. There are two ways that we can use Zoom. The two ways is one, to conduct a live meeting with students, and two, to record yourself teaching with students. And this slide tells you how to do that. What I'm going to ask you is a survey of how do you utilize your Zoom session. And Beth is going to pull that up. As you guys are completing the survey, I see that there are different systems. Some people are not able to use the video function in your county. And so we want to preface that anything that we are sharing with you, you need to first look at what your county's policy is or regulations around how you work with students during this time. So please make sure you abide by your counties as well as your school administrator's decision on how online learning will take place. Okay, the poll just ended and I see a majority of people are utilizing Zoom in the capacity as just a face-to-face live interaction. The reason why we put this as a trick is this is a great opportunity if you record yourself first to do a lesson and put yourself in front of students at offline times. So it gives you a chance to, again, to use all those tools that you've had. Again, you could do a demo with manipulatives. You can also share your screen using different tools, Catisfy. You can also, again, use your IPvo to work on handouts and do a demo, your chalkboard. So all those things will be able to be seen by your students. And then that gives you a chance to post it if you're not able to join your students for a particular thing, or if you have an emergency on your end, for you to still keep the content flowing. So this is a great trick that we can use since Zoom is a tool, to use it in the second capacity, which is to record you later and send that link to students. Again, the next slide is going to share some other platforms. And what we want to preface is some sites do collect data from students and sell it. So we want to make sure that you are checking if these sites have been approved by your county for usage. But there are some great advantages in using these sites. So I'll let you look. Okay, Google Forms are great for, again, doing that assessment component to see how your students are doing. You can use it offline as well. Screen Catisfy would do the same thing as, again, sharing your video to students, but you can embed instructions in between, so it's making it more relevant and more concrete and chunking it into pieces. And Edpuzzle is another platform that does the same thing. And what's nice about Edpuzzle is you can use interactive videos from other venues, from other educational sites that have been approved by your county, as well as taking it and putting some audio chunks and comments in between the videos so that students could you can see how students are really responding to the video. So one thing about putting videos into your lesson is if you just play the video, you can't see if students are really focusing on the points that you want the video to show. But by using Edpuzzle, you can pose questions at different points within the video and give an assessment so you can see if students are really paying attention to that video. And I'm going to show a demo and hopefully that works.
Let's assume that you're a science teacher and want to let's say this is your topic is soil pollution.
So again, you just saw that demo. So it gives you the capacity to use a video, and it can be a video that your county already has available to you if they're using a curriculum, or one that again is approved by a site that you've used in the past, but you make it more real life, and that gives it meat. One thing about remote learning is students need to feel connected to you. And by being able to chop it up, you're chunking it up for students with different needs, and you're also putting your voice so that they feel connected to you while they're away. So we already saw the survey in terms of your comfort level with different platforms. So we hope that when we send that resource kit, you'll be able to look at some of these support tools and further your knowledge. So we know there are challenges. This is new for everyone. And so first of all, you need to pat yourself on the back because you're doing a great job. The top 3 challenges we've observed is new expectations. This is new for everyone. How are you utilizing new technology? If you've already used those, some differences, maybe you may be adapting more technology. How are you implementing new online curriculums that may be created by your counties? How are you navigating your new role as both teaching and your family role? Because some people are doing multiple tasks and you have children and you're doing homeschooling at the same time. How are you developing instructional plans with your colleagues? Readapting, modifying lessons? How are you infusing technology into your instruction? Again, are you able to send weekly student plans so that students are on target and parents know where they're going? Another challenge has been also equity and access. We know that you are making yourself available, but some students are not able to come to the session because again, they don't have access. So are you using tools when they are there to check to see if they're obtaining the information? Are you increasing engagement? Those are some of the top 3 challenges that we've observed. I'm sure there are others, but we put them into these 3 buckets because we wanted to kind of frame our presentation. So think about these challenges, and in a few minutes, you're going to be going to breakout rooms, and we want you to brainstorm around these solutions. So again, we want you to leave here with solutions and strategies. To help us navigate these breakout rooms, we are delighted to have great facilitators with you. In the elementary room, you will have Samantha Bardo and Kendra Gato. And they both are from Prince George's, and they'll be navigating the elementary breakout room, room number 1. Middle school will be led by Elia Dahl, high school by Carrie Olenek, and ESOL by Andrea Robinson, and it also will include special education if you were tagged that way. As with you, we suggest that you offer net etiquettes to your students. So we want you to participate actively in the room discussions. Keep your videos on so that, again, faces make that connection with your community. Be an active listener. Mute if you're not talking so we can eliminate those background noises. And your facilitator is going to help you stay within the time limits. But I want you to remember we are all in this together. So again, we will make this happen. Here is what you're going to be doing in the next 20 minutes. You're going to discuss solutions, again, to addressing some of these challenges I mentioned. There may be other challenges that you have that you want to get solutions for. And I want you to think about lessons you've learned that you can share with others on this session. There are tips that you've learned that have made your job a little bit easier this past few weeks, especially those who have been doing this a little longer. And I want also you to consider things that you may modify. We just found out that Maryland schools will be closing for the remainder of the year. So how do we make plans for alternative plans to things that have been working that we want to tweak and improve upon? To guide you, your facilitators will be going through these questions. These questions are just a guide. We're not expecting you to answer all of them, but look at the ones that resonate most to you, and you're going to have a dialogue. What your facilitators all have these questions, so they'll be able to help you. But if you're like me and you like to have that in front of you, you may want to take a picture of your screen because it will not be available during the breakout rooms. Okay. We're going to push you out to the breakout rooms. So welcome back, everyone. I'm delighted that you were able to experience breakout rooms. For some, this was a first. So again, this is a great tool that you can utilize with your students. If they're at that age, you know, it is also something that you have to be mindful that, again, no one's supervising those rooms at a constant time. So again, that is a caution with using that tool. But as your students become more proficient, that may be something that you can do if you have an assistant, like another teacher that you're working with. Maybe you can split the rooms into two, and one person goes into one breakout room and another, to make it a little easier. So what I'm going to do is let our facilitators rock the show and share out and report out what they've learned. We'll start with the elementary group.
You want me to go? So we had a great discussion in the elementary breakout room, and we talked a lot around the different tools we were using for video conferencing and recording lessons, and tried to problem solve around some of the challenges we had in those using those tools. Such as which ones were most user-friendly for teachers. Some, we learned Google Hangouts does closed captioning, so if you're recording it, it all automatically does that for you, so that helps with accessibility issues that families might be having. And then we also talked around how some counties aren't even using technology, and teachers are using packets and having to call families. So it was really interesting to hear everyone's different experiences and how, yeah, different people were sort of working around issues and learning from their colleagues there and what other tools might be more useful for them.
What was the most important solution that you tackled in one of the areas? I heard that Chrome extension mentioned quite a few times.
Well, that was one of the problems, you know, when you're using Google Meets, Google Hangouts, when you're in the presentation mode, and if you're using a video that you recorded or a YouTube video that you want to show, the students can't hear what's being presented. So by error, I figured out that you needed, there's a Chrome extension that you can get free from the Chrome web store that enables that video to be heard while you're in presentation mode. So you just need to go to the Chrome store and get that free extension, and it'll show up. You have to like shut down your computer because it doesn't show up right away. And when you go to present mode the next time, you'll see an option that says Chrome tab. So you click on Chrome tab, and then you can click on the tab that has that video, and your students will be able to hear it.
Okay. Thank you, Samantha and Kendra. We're gonna push up to the middle school level. Aladia, sorry. You're muted still.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can restate your name properly because I know I messed it up. Sorry.
It's Aaliyah.
Thank you.
What we talked about was how, you know, how are we making sure that our students are having equitable access, which is a challenge, especially if you're talking about students who their home language is not English, and communicating with those families. So we talked about reaching our EL students who are falling behind and using language lines and translation services. There's also an app called Talking Points that allows us to be able to, it's almost like Remind, but it translates it on the other end to whatever the home language is for that family. We talked about how for our students who aren't online, a lot of counties are using paper packets to get the students to still be able to track their learning. the struggle, of course, is how do you get those packets back? One of the things that certain counties are doing are taking pictures and having the parents upload it to certain places, or they're turning them in or collecting them. Central offices for a lot of the counties are sending weekly work. And we also talked about different tools that we're using to help keep our learners engaged. Things like PlayPosit and Edpuzzle, which are the same. They allow you to embed video. And we talked about how if you have a YouTube channel where you're uploading your own videos, then you can use that video in your PlayPosit or Edpuzzle and embed questions into your own video. We talked about Pear Deck and Nearpod and Google Voice for communicating with families so they don't get your personal phone number, but you can still send them text messages and things as well. And then we talked about introducing new content to students by using things like video, Screencastify, editing lessons from the county and chunking them so that they're more accessible to students, recording the audio for things like stories, and reading recordings of the documents that we're giving them so that students who need that support still have it. Another one to add is to use the read and write extension, which does a lot of that for you, using Zoom meetings and recordings, and having set office hours where students know that they can get on and contact you live, be that through a live Google Doc where you're kind of making a chat, or through Zooms or other video communication tools. And we said that the ways that we're making sure that students are understanding is using online discussion posts, interactive worksheets, and student video responses. But the main thing is to just keep them connected so that they're not, feeling isolated, connecting them through, phone, email, video, whatever you can do to keep them engaged.
Okay, again, there's some great dialogue that's occurring in the chat box. So again, we will provide that because people are putting some great resources. So if that is one of your concerns, we'll get that to you. The one thing I do want to share, someone had a question about the recording of Zoom. Again, as Aaliyah said, it's a tool not to record your students, but to record yourself.
Yes.
Just want to clarify that because that question came up in the chat. You guys came up with a lot of great solutions. Thank you for leading the group, Aaliyah. And now we're going to move to the high school group.
Hi, everyone. We did very similar to the middle school. We kind of ran through everything and saw where people were at. There are some counties that have people personally delivering packets to make sure the kids have the material that they need. We talked about the Zoom call-in feature. So if a kid does not have a Chromebook, they can at least use the phone number on the Zoom to at least call in and hear the lesson and reply back to what's going on, even if they can't see it. We talked about Schoolology, which is a new one I hadn't heard that a lot of school districts are using, and it has a conference feature in it, utilizing that, and discussion board in Schoolology. And then we talked about assessment, and our biggest concern is how to maintain that engagement at the high school level when kids it's up in the air of how grades are going to be calculated, and some kids are like, well, I already passed third quarter, and they're kind of drifting off and getting them to come in. So we were starting to talk about that, and one of the things is the soft deadline so that there's chances for kids to still turn things in. And one person in our group did a great thing. She did a family game night with her students and brought things like Never Would I and some different games, and held up she was in the middle of explaining to us about holding up the cards and things so that kids could participate and see a different side and have some fun activity just joining together as a community.
Thank you, Carrie, for leading that group. Lots of great ideas coming out as well. And Andrea led the ESOL and special education. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so we really shared a lot of the same strategies that people have already said. Definitely heard good things about talking points, being able to communicate with families, and sharing that with colleagues as well. so that they can also communicate with families. Some people shared about checking in with students on a daily basis, either by phone, email, and Google Meets, using Squalogy to send out like a message of the day, and using Dojo as well to connect with families, and then taking lessons that are pre-recorded and linking them to YouTube so they're easily accessible, either via, also double posted on a Google Classroom, but add a YouTube link so that they're easy to find. And then someone mentioned Capstone for Learning, which are Capstone Learning for reading for the younger grades, because they have read-to features. And I mentioned Epic. I use Get Epic with my ESOL students, which also has a read-to feature and videos. And using like the comment feature in your Google Classroom to give feedback to kids and maybe opening that up for some discussion. And I shared, I've built in brain breaks in my instructional videos, so kids have a little link to click on and just watch a silly video for a couple minutes, and they really like that.
Thank you, Andrea. So again, we want you to realize that you have a network of colleagues. The best way to learn is to, instead of struggling on your own, to use the resources within each other. You guys are doing a great job. So remember, this is, for some of you, this is very new. So be patient with yourself. And for some, you're perfecting and adding more toolboxes within your kit. So be patient with yourself and pat yourself on the back. We're going to transition to the tips and tricks. And I'm going to go back to my slide deck. So again, lots of great insight. We're all in this together. So here are a few tips and tricks that we've gathered from MSEA. Again, they're general tricks and tips. We want to preface that, again, every county has different policies. As you can see in the chat box, some people are saying that their county pulled out of the phone call ability that Google Meet offers. So please make sure you abide by your county's policy, even though we're giving you some tools. Hopefully they can work, but we want to make sure that you are also protected in supporting your students. So we embrace technology engaging, because when our students are engaged, they're interested. So we want you to realize that many tools that you use in the classroom that still apply for you in the online learning. So I want you to look at this in a 4-facet mode. We're teaching in traumatic time. So first, take care of yourself. When you get on a plane and there's an emergency, what's the first thing they tell you to do is put on your mask first. So take time to breathe. Take time to check in. That will also help you take time to reflect on what you're struggling on and what are some things that you need to improve upon. In terms of your students, they're dealing with a lot. In some cases, they're dealing with some home situations of people who may be sick, financial losses, so they're trying to navigate that. So be sensitive that some may be embarrassed to join, not because they don't care, but they're afraid to show their home scene. So again, encouraging them to come and that their cameras could be off and that they can still participate may be a way to go around that. Relationship is key. It's even more essential in the remote learning piece. So find ways to connect with them so that they know you care about them, not just about the compliance of assignments as we're going through the rest of the year. One strategy that can work, as you have done in the classroom, is to find a way to connect with your student with a ritual. We did one coming in this webinar. I asked you to think of a hopeful moment. And you saw so many beautiful things that were occurring, and that gave you an idea that you are doing the right thing and you are in the right path. So find a way to connect. It may be that if you see the mood is down, you find out what's the distraction. Those are all restorative ways to kind of support your students during this traumatic time. And by doing that and finding a routine, that helps to keep them safe and feel that things will be okay. These are a few tips and tricks. Again, I'm not going to read them all to you because you will get that later on, but some of the biggest things is, again, a routine and reflection, making sure that students abide by Privacy Act so they're not video recording other students. Again, making lessons available online as well as offline by using your learning management systems. You can do those offline recordings, whether you're using different programs or not, to, again, support that learning. Try to limit screen time, again, if possible, taking breaks, using different apps within your presentation to get dialogue going, having students talk and converse with each other, using visuals to support that. Utilize your specialists. They are here, and a lot of them are finding ways to connect with you. So bring them inside your classroom. They are eager to help. They may have their own office hours and their own meeting time with students, but many of them are entering into your rooms as support agents. So having that collaborative discussion, how we move on during this period to make this work. They will help in terms of helping and chunking. ESOL teachers and special educations have lots of tricks in their bag to support students with needs that work for all students. So utilize them. These are 2 links. One of them is MSEA's best practices on technology and NEA's micro-credentials. If you're not familiar with that, NEA is, again, supporting MSEA by offering micro-credentials on distance learning. If you are some of the people that tapped in the chat box saying that I need a little bit more on how you set up my Google Classroom, I need a little bit more on how I set up my Canvas, there are micro-credentials already in place that you can take as a member of MSEA that you can take for free. So utilize them, great resources that you can tap into. First Book also had a toolkit that MSEA partnered with on trauma, so you can look into that for some ideas on how to deal with trauma if you see your students experiencing that. National Board has been doing a lot of support networks for their candidates, and they have posted some resources to support you in improving your learning management systems, as well as tricks and tips for dealing with video conferencing as well. One website I just learned during this whole thing that has been very useful is Wide Open Schools. If you're not familiar with it, it gives you offline activities for your students to use. It has a daily calendar, something that we recommend for students to do so they can stay on task. Great resource if you are not connected with this. ASCD did a special report, and the whole report is on getting remote learning right. So you will find some great articles that you can tap into and get some insights. We will also be pushing out a tips for being successful, some tips again, some other tips, general tips from MSEA. We mentioned a couple of apps. There are probably another 50 apps that are great and useful. So again, if you have others, this is where we're going to ask you to add to our toolkit to make this better. So we will be creating a list of toolkits that you can kind of tap in and get a little bit more to improve. For being a member with MSEA, you get an opportunity to get another webinar. We've partnered with Louisiana Association of Educators. They did a webinar on increasing student engagement online. And so you will be able to navigate through the MSEA website. So if you go to the MSEA website, Professional Development, there will be a link right there that will tell you how to enroll and get into this course. And it is free. So let me see if it'll push me out so we can see it real quick. So we are on the MSEA website. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And right here would be the NEA micro-credentials. As you can see, they have a whole list of micro-credentials, but one of the things that they've done is really push out a lot of social distancing and learning.
That's not the screen that's showing.
On my screen.
What is showing on your screen?
The Bright Insight first page of the, or 28th page of the presentation.
Okay.
You're probably just paused, Geraldine. So if you hit share screen and then just select the other screen, it should pop back up. It doesn't automatically transfer like on other screen sharing. We see you now.
Yeah, we see it now.
Oh, there's Cassandra.
Now you're on mute.
I think she's doing that thing she talked about, parenting and working. But
All right, so I'm going to move back to, again, my PowerPoint. I was doing that homeschooling. Yes, I was, sorry. And so, again, almost everything you do is able to work again if you unplug it for just a few minutes. So take time to do that for yourself. I love that quote when I saw it. To wrap up, what I'm going to do is share a breathing exercise with you. And it's one that you can do with your students, again, to kind of set the energy. And it uses your palm of your hand. And so if you can indulge me and do it with us so we can end with that calm energy. And what you're going to do is trace the palm of your hand, and you will breathe in through your nose as I go up the palm, and breathe out from your mouth. So let's try that. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In, out. In, out. And continue. I want to thank you in honor of National Teacher Appreciation Week. We thank you for all the work that you do. And MSEA appreciates you. So keep the hard work going. This is my contact as well as that of my colleague. So you can reach out to us. And again, we'll be sending out that information next week. So please look out for it. Any questions that we didn't address?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Really
you for all
helpful. Thank you.
That was
Thank
very
you.
helpful. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.